Yeah, I mean, I know a barber that legit he was legally blind, and he could see well enough to give you a haircut,
Hmm.
but he couldn't see well enough to give you a super crispy haircut. But he had a large clientele because he was amazing at communicating with people.
Hmm.
And when you sat in his chair, whether the haircut looked good or not, you just wanted to see him again,
Yeah.
and you came back because there was that communication, there was that. And let's be honest, there's a lot of people that don't even know what a good looking haircut is.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So there's a lot of people that come into the barbershop, they just need to look better than they did when they came in. And he was able to do that. And then with his communication skills, his people skills, and his personality, they just
Love
love
mama
it.
only showing love just to take mine. How could you make excuses but can't make time? How I'm supposed to fix your demons and can't face mine? Yeah. Don't invest in the appearance, steal a great mind. Cause she could change the way she look, but she can't change grind. The baddest woman got that hustle that you can't find.
Welcome back to Opinionated, the podcast, Miami edition. I am your host, Joshua Hicks, and alongside me, as always, is my brother from another mother, Ree Washington.
sir.
And today we got a special guest, Mo Rodriguez, aka Mo the Barber, Miami's finest barber.
How you doing? Everybody, thank you for having me. I'm
No
glad
problem,
to be
Mo.
here.
I've been waiting to have you on this show, man.
Well, I'm
You
here
know.
now.
We got to do it big. So,
sir.
Mo, essentially, I've known you since I was probably 8 years old. I mean,
Yeah, just about.
yeah, and just the relationships with barbers in general, especially in the black community, that's something that we got to put a lot of trust into.
It's sacred.
Yeah, it's sacred. It's better than going to a therapist almost.
Yeah.
Whereas like if you got to switch your barbers, you want to start a whole new life.
Yeah.
Yeah, it make you feel good. I mean,
Absolutely.
Mo is the reason why I got this cut today. Matter of fact,
Yes,
America.
sir.
But Mo, we like to always usually start with something called "You Think You Know Me,"
Okay.
and essentially, you think you know me. I just want you to tell people how you got into being a barber.
When I came home one day from high school, my mom and my dad, they were sitting outside in the front yard, and my mom was attempting to give my dad a haircut, but she was scared of the clippers, and it was almost like borderline an argument. And I was like, you know what, I'll do it.
Uh-huh.
And I grabbed the clippers and I buzzed it all off. And my dad went in the bathroom and he looked at it and he's like, "It's perfect. This is what I wanted." And that feeling that I got from making somebody feel good about the way I made them look, it made me want to look further into this career.
And like most people, they usually have their cousins or their dads give them barber, give them a haircut.
Yeah.
But for you, like, did you start off with like the simple $5 haircuts? Like, hey, I'll cut your hair for free.
I was cutting all my friends for free for about 2 years
Okay.
before I realized I could make money or even do this as a career.
Uh-huh.
I actually was cutting hair for free and asking people, "Do you know if anybody's hiring?" because I needed a job.
And was it just like when you first cut the hair, you were just like, yeah, this is something that I want to do?
At first, I was like, this is something I love to do.
Okay.
And so I was doing it as a hobby. And then the girlfriend I had at the time, she was like, you could make money if you get a job at a barbershop. And I inquired about it, and they were like, "Oh, now we can't hire you without a license." So I just continued cutting my friends, and I started charging them $5.
Just to put in on it, I think when you said love, I think that's the big that dependent variable to that. Most
Definitely.
people like doing things, but they don't love it, and then that's where you get that inconsistent,
Yeah, love, passion. If you have a love and a passion for anything you do, you'll do it better than anybody else, and then the money or whatever it is you seek out of it will come.
Yeah.
And and I always like to say, and you and I talk about it even when I go to the barbershop, and being a barber, that's a lost art almost. That's a trade that you can't replace almost in the world today. Even when we had the pandemic, a lot of people, they got laid off, they lost their jobs, but one thing that will never go without is having a barber. So for you, did that give you like that little safety and that like reassurance, like, okay, I'm in the right passion, I'm glad I did this?
Yeah, it definitely, the pandemic definitely showed me that my service is something that people definitely are going to get regardless of their financial situation. But also in the new world that we're in, with everything is technology, this is something that is going to be a long time before it's replaced by a robot or a computer or anything of that sort.
And I just want to
That's a
like
good point.
go back a little bit and just for just our young audience who may want to become or pursue the occupation of being a barber, like what steps did you have to take, just besides, essentially jumping off the porch from cutting your dad's hair to, now cutting clients?
Definitely, you got to go to school. You got to go to barber school, and like anything, they get you the basics. They get you right with the the first steps that you need to learn about, cutting hair, sanitation, which is very important, customer care, things like that, that'll drive you far in the career. And then when you get out into the workforce, with experience, and the more you do it, you get better and better at it, just like anything. Because once you get out into the barbershop, you'll cut way more hair than you would at the school. So you get more practice, so you get better a lot faster.
And I also just want to touch on, you went from starting off as a barber, and the little sacred thing that people don't know about barbershops, usually the person who just started cutting hair is usually the first chair.
Yeah.
Am I correct? So how did you go from being first chair to owning your own barbershop?
Oh, hard work. Hard work, consistency, just a serious work ethic. Just making sure that I was just trying not to miss any minute of the day from being away from the barbershop. I just wanted to be there all the time. Anybody that walked in, I wanted to make sure they sat in my chair. The first chair gives you that advantage. You get to greet the customer first.
Yeah.
You get to make that first impression. How you greet them, how you welcome them will determine whether they're going to, hey, can you get me, or just walk down the line and go to somebody else.
Could you explain what your morning ritual is? Because he always talks about you be up 4:30, crack of dawn.
Oh, yeah, so
most barbers, that's unheard of.
Yeah, it is. It definitely is. But it's just that in anything you do, you have to find that niche in the market. And I just found that at 4 o'clock in the morning, I have nobody to compete with. And 4 o'clock in the morning, 5 o'clock in the morning, there's a lot of people that are up at that time in the morning. And, it's a very convenient time for them to get a haircut, because this is the time that they can actually focus before the crazy part of their day starts.
Yeah.
So I just found that it's more convenient for many people, especially working everyday men, to get up earlier, get a haircut when nothing's going on, and then go home and go about their day. So it's just that niche in the market, I found it, and I took advantage of it. As far as my daily routine, it's pretty simple. I wake up early in the morning, I take a shower, I go to my favorite coffee shop. Luckily, it's open 24 hours a day.
Yeah.
I get my coffee, maybe a little something to eat, and I try to always be at the barbershop 15 to 20 minutes before my first client, and just enjoy my coffee and unwind and get ready for my first client of the day.
Gotcha. Because he always talks about how you, before everybody else wakes up, you cutting 6-7 heads before the first barber gets into their shop.
Absolutely,
You know what I mean? So.
Yeah.
And I also want to touch a little bit like on passion, right? So with Ree and I, within our first few episodes, a lot of people always brought up the mic situation and investing in yourself. And, I told them it's a process, right? We're not going to get everything situated within the first dry run, but now we're starting to pick up. We're starting to understand the work that goes into it. I saw something on your Instagram maybe about 2 weeks ago that you don't have to do what you did, but you did it anyway. I saw you and one of your other barbers on the side of a street, trying to bring in cars, and for somebody like you had an opportunity to work in the NBA bubble. You didn't have to do that. You can think of yourself on a higher echelon, like, I don't need to lower my standards, but no, it's like when I see you, I still see that drive, like from that barber who just cut his dad's hair the first time.
Yeah.
And you still want that grind. Like, what keeps that going in you?
Because everybody markets to grow their business, but people don't understand you have to market to continue to stay at that level. So you market to get busy, and then you market to stay busy. So you got to grasp that concept. Like one of the biggest, companies in the world, McDonald's, is just, that name is worldwide known.
Yeah.
Why do they still have commercials? So it's like, you market to grow your business, and then you market to stay in business, so
Well,
that
you
you never
also,
have to market to save your business.
Okay.
You're also, you own it. So then
Yes.
you also feed your wolves who are in the shop as well.
For sure. Yeah, I mean, like, the work I put in, it does not go, lost. Like, somebody comes in, whether I can or can't get them, that work goes over to the young guys who need that, exposure.
And I want to kind of transition into your business now and talk a little bit about it, just for the fact that we did go through a pandemic.
Yeah.
This has almost been like a whole calendar year, actually, of it all starting off. And when I went to you, I'll say even last year, you had a barbershop full of, barbers. And now you essentially had to rebuild your brand or remold it. But you found out, I saw a quote, and Ree and I talk about it a little bit. It was like, I had to knock down my house just to see who would help me pick it back up. Yeah. And with you basically had to restart, but like, how did the pandemic impact you?
So what the pandemic brought to light is that a lot of people don't have good saving habits,
Okay.
and the fact that we were mandated to shut down and nobody knew when we would come back to work. A lot of barbers just didn't have enough money saved to wait, so they seek jobs. Some of them started cutting hair out of their house. They did whatever they had to do to survive for their family, which I'm not mad at. But when it was time to reopen, a lot of them chose to continue doing business the way they were doing it. And then with the unemployment, and some of them got the PPP money and the SBA money and whatever other stimulus was available to them, and they just didn't see the need to come back to the barbershop establishment. A lot of them, which was fine with me, gave me opportunity to reach out to the barber schools, grab some of these young guys who are new to the industry, enthusiastic, ready to grow, ready to do these new things that I've been branching out on social media, barber shows, things like that. And now I get a chance to just mold them and watch them grow in my establishment. But my shop, we survived the pandemic and we're not going anywhere.
And that's a blessing. Oftentimes we do something so long that we have to rebuild or reimage ourselves. You've been cutting hair for what, 20, 25 years?
Going on 21, yes.
21 years. That's a long time. Like, how do you keep changing with the new crowd, the new era, the new generations? Because obviously, kids are getting haircuts that they weren't getting 10 years ago or even 5 years ago, even last year. So how do you just challenge yourself to say, okay, I got to be on my A game to know what type of haircuts are in style?
I always put myself in places where I can continue to learn, regardless of how many years I got or how other people, view me as what they would consider a master barber, which is a term that I don't like to use because it's an art. It's always changing. So you can never master something that's always changing. You can either just always be a student, be a great student, and learn and adjust and adapt as it's changing. So I find that for me, it helps to go to barber shows. That's where you see the latest in trends and haircuts and things that barbers are doing, new tools. Also seminars, where you can sit down in a small class environment and individually or in a small group learn from somebody who you look up to.
You're still willing to go out and learn.
Of course.
Though you're a top-notch barber,
Yes.
but you still take that time to go and learn new craft that you might not know.
Absolutely. And then I bring it back to the shop and I teach it to my guys.
Yeah.
So let's say you have a young person that comes up to you and they say they want to, they've been cutting hair for a little minute. They want to create their own barbershop. Like, what are some things that you would tell them or tips to, help them get that dream?
First and foremost, you have to have your barber's license. There's no way around it. Once you do that, you have to figure out what demographic of people you're trying to target. Whether it's a certain nationality or a certain, demographic based on wage, do your research where that demographic is better for you, and then find an establishment there that you can work, build a good clientele, so that when you find a location that you want to turn into your location, you have a clientele that you can move there, because you cannot just pop up in a random neighborhood and open a barbershop and think it's just going to get flooded with customers. Yeah. This is a very personable business, as you know.
Yep.
Me and you got maybe 12, 13 years as barber client, and it's not something that you just want to jump in anybody's chair. Though there are a lot of people out there that are, risk takers, and they'll just, like, whatever, hey, you got clippers, cut me, but it's very personable. You have somebody putting their hands on you, touching you, communicating with you in a more intimate level than other services.
You can't cheat on your barber. That's the number one rule. You can't cheat on your barber.
You shouldn't cheat on your barber, but if you do, good luck to you.
But like you said, personable. One thing that the barbershop talk, you can't get away from it. That's one thing that's always important. And you always leave the shop thinking about what you guys just talked about. I don't know how it works in your barbershop, but I know. Shout out to my barber, Rico Cuts. We always talk about personal stuff, and it gets real deep real quick. But then you could have them conversations where you laughing and joking the entire time. So I think the vibe within the shop is very important. The energy within that shop is very important. Who you have in those, the first seat to your chair,
absolutely,
is very important. Because
and I think a lot of people, they take for granted. They just see barbers, and especially if you're not growing up in the culture or the communities that most minorities, African Americans, Hispanics, whatever it may be, are barbers. Like, are our therapists. You guys just aren't barbers. You guys have 2 or 3 different things aside from whether it's a therapist, a barber, a community leader, whatever it is, people find comfort within the barbershop. And oftentimes, like, how do you feel like when you just have somebody that, you know, wants to confide in you and just tell you, you know, okay, I'm going through this, and you just able to give that, you know, that push?
Well, it starts with the fact that the barbershop was the original internet. This is where people came, they dropped off information, and we would reciprocate it to the community. So with us receiving information that other people don't get, you know, we're able to help out people. So there's somebody may sit in your chair and they're talking to you about the job that they don't like. Maybe they don't like the pay, they don't like the way they're being treated, but someone just came in the barbershop earlier that week, earlier that day, earlier that month, and said, hey, the county is hiring, do you know anybody? Let me know. And now I could tell that person, hey, do you got a clean record? I got a guy, call him, he could get you in with the county, good pay, good job, benefits, you know. And that's where it becomes real important that as a barber, like you said, the old school tradition of barbering is dying. This new school tradition of cutting hair with headphones on, I don't like. You've been in my shop, you know that I don't allow headphones because I feel like you have to talk to the person that's in your chair. You have to communicate with that person, especially if you just met them. You don't know what this person came into the shop for. This person came into the shop because this might be the last good thing to happen to them is this haircut. You know what I'm saying? They could be going through anything. They could be getting a haircut because they either got a job or lost their mom. You know, and how do you know what situation they're in, what mindset they're in, if you don't speak and get that person to open up to you, so then you can respond in a way that will make them feel, like you said, make them feel great about how they feel walking out the door, or even better, just about their situation in a whole. You know?
What you think about that, Ree?
I think, I've never seen somebody cut with no headphones on anyway. But I know
it's a big trend now
on
social media. A lot
like,
of barbers got the headphones on, and I don't know if they think it looks cool, but it's just, to me, it's very disrespectful.
I haven't seen that, but I just know for mine, usually get there about 20, 30 minutes early, and then you stay 20 minutes after the haircut. I know that's how it is for me because I just enjoy who cuts my hair, and then I also enjoy the conversation he brings. And then, like you said, again, like, if you're going through something, like, there's times where me and him are talking about, I'm telling him what happened last night or something, but then he always gives that piece of advice, like, nah, don't do that. Stay in your lane. Do what you're doing because it's working for you. I think everybody has to, again, find their niche, like you said, and like how they do things. I think certain things work for people, and then certain things don't. You know what I mean?
Absolutely.
But I think it's about passion again.
Yeah.
For the art of barbering.
And more important than the haircut is the connection you make with the barber. You know, sometimes
it goes a long way.
Yeah, I mean, I know a barber that legit he was legally blind, and you know he could see well enough to give you a haircut, but he couldn't see well enough to give you a super crispy haircut. But he had a large clientele because he was amazing at communicating with people. And when you sat in his chair, whether the haircut looked good or not, you just wanted to see him again. And you came back because there was that communication, there was that. And let's be honest, there's a lot of people that don't even know what a good-looking haircut is. You know, so there's a lot of people that come into the barbershop, they just need to look better than they did when they came in. And he was able to do that. And then with his communication skills, his people skills, and his personality, they just loved him.
I think that goes to, like, my OG. He been cutting hair forever, and then he finally stopped, but then he still has somebody pinging his line like, hey, can you get me? Old dude, you know, and don't got much to cut neither, so just wants that connection again, just wants that, you know, when you talk to the individual who is in your chair, like, it's kind of that one-on-one. It's just you and them. Everything else is blocked.
Yeah, that's that opportunity that you have where you can just wind down. You can just relax. You sit in that chair. It's a comfort thing. And again, that's what it goes. It goes on, don't cheat on your barber, because if you go to a new barber, you're feeling antsy. You're looking at the mirror every 24 seconds just to see, okay, did he mess up? Did he do this? Did he do that? But when you have that connection with your barber, you're just like, I can go sit in Mo's chair. Don't have to say nothing. Some mornings, and some mornings, hey, I go there at 5 o'clock. Sometimes we just tired. You just getting ready for the day. But I know I'm in good hands. He's gonna get me right and get me out of there. And some days, hey man, we're talking nonstop about just certain things. But it was just like, man, okay, hey, this is my barber. I don't need nobody else. Yeah,
on your barber. Do you ever find yourself remembering what this person likes? Because I know when I sit down in my chair, in Rico's chair, I'm like, you know, same thing, you know.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, sometimes I don't know how other barbers do it, but for some reason, the minute I see that client, like every detail of their haircut just comes right back to me. Now, unless they want something absolutely different or a little different or slightly different, you know, then they'll speak up. But for the most part, like Josh said, it's been maybe 7-8 years since Josh has ever had to say how he wanted his haircut with me.
Yeah. I mean, you saw it. And the funny thing about it, Mo, is when I got to college, we couldn't find a barber for anything in the world. So I let my hair go or whatever the case was. They thought I was trying to copy one of my other good friends with the waves. They don't know that I've had waves since I was 5-6 years old. I'm like, I've always had waves. I'm not trying to copy anybody. I said, I just don't have a good barber. I said, when I get home, Mo gonna take care of me. It's gonna be crispy.
Josh always push the waves, man. He always.
It's funny how you say that. How you know when you sit in somebody else's chair, you get antsy. Because I used to line them up because we was looking rough, so hair would grow out, and then I think 45 minutes to the nearest barbershop was. You know, that's how far we stayed. And then I used to just line them up. And then I used to look in the mirror every 2 seconds. Like,
I'm like, man, don't push back my hairline, man. I said, I got a good one.
I got us through. The little
you
time.
You did.
So that was funny.
That's dope. But that's an experience you guys share together. So you guys could take that on. Exactly. And like you said, you brought it on.
You'll only let your barber or your best friends cut your hair.
Yeah.
Everybody else, it's a no-go.
Because they're trusting you. It's a form of trust. Like,
absolutely.
It's that bond.
It's the biggest form of trust.
Absolutely.
Mo, tell people how they can get in contact with you.
So on social media, on Instagram specifically, I am Miami_barber. And then my full name is Mohachi Rodriguez if you want to look for me on Facebook. But that's pretty much it. My barbershop, the Cut Stop Barbershop, 9849 East Fern Street here in Miami, Florida.
Man, Mo, it's been a pleasure having you on this show.
Man,
He's Ree Washington. I go by the name of Joshua Hicks. This wraps up another great episode of Opinionated, the podcast. Miami, love, always. Freedom is not worth having if it does not include the freedom to make mistakes. To further explain, to truly be free, we must have the freedom to not be successful. We have this obsession of wanting perfection, yet it rarely comes with instructions. Lean on your friends and loved ones for advice and help. The path towards success rarely comes without bumps in the road. Have a life-changing week. As always, God bless. Selah.